deal.
Yeah.
And so
take a step back. You said something really interesting backstage, which is if you look at everything that we're doing right now, we're barely going to keep up with just the natural energy demands of humanity, right? Just explain that thesis the way that you framed it in the back.
So here's the issue. We have not invested in upgrading and modernizing and hardening the electric grid since post-World War II. We just let it go. You know, the last 2, 3, 4 administrations were sleepwalking and haven't done anything to harden this infrastructure. Now, if we simply just want to achieve our objectives to reindustrialize, reshore, electrify, when I say electrify, that just means replacing your old gas boilers in these buildings with heat pumps, which every commercial building is doing. It means, you know, electric car penetration going up. It means using your electronic devices more. Not even talking about AI. Not even talking about AI. We're going to have shortfalls just from that.
Just from living our life.
Just from living our lives.
So what happens? Blackouts, brownouts?
Blackouts, brownouts, and we're going to have to...
Rising electricity prices.
Rising electricity prices. But, you know, you brought up a really great point, I thought, on one of your shows, where you were talking about how the utilities are just really goosing up the cost to do everything so that they can report to their regulator and earn that ROE on the higher capital base. What's really interesting, I think, is really underappreciated is that's where all the inflation is coming from. It's from the transmission and distribution from the utility, because power prices over the last 20 years, even after the rise we've just had, power prices are still down. They're definitely down in real terms, but they haven't really gone up much in absolute terms. And so when you're talking about
making it is cheap.
Up, making it is still cheap, but it's getting more expensive.
Getting it to people is really...
Getting it to people because, you know, the labor by far and away is the biggest bottleneck. Craft labor, right? What do we tell all our kids to do? You know, in the last 10 or 15 years, they
go to
Stanford and become a coder.
In the Northeast. Yeah,
right.
Big mistake. And so I'm curious from the audience, in your homes, how many people have put up solar and/or power walls? How many people have actually done that? So that's about half the crowd. How many people, second question, are planning to do that in the next year or two? Okay, so that's another 20%. So it's pretty obvious, this is obviously a affluent crowd. They are routing around the grid. Is the solution to this energy independence in the,
great question,
you know, the home, in the business? Businesses are not waiting for the government, so maybe the grid is going to be like this weird, archaic infrastructure, and it's just going to be a ground-up solution.
Well, you're going to need the grid no matter what for industrial use. I mean, that's the foundation of industrial use. I mean, the scale of what we have to do just for industrial use. Here's a good stat for you. So a 1 gigawatt AI factory, if you wanted to do all solar, right? And I'm a big solar bull, okay? If you want to do all solar, because solar's capacity factor is 20%, because the sun doesn't shine all the time, with a capacity factor at 20%, a 1 gigawatt data center needs 5 gigawatts of solar. Each gigawatt of solar takes up 7,000 acres. So at 5 gigawatts, that's 35,000 acres. That's bigger than San Francisco. So where are you going to find the people? You know, where are you going to find... That's the biggest bottleneck we have, by the way, is craft labor.
Yeah.
What about generally scarcity breeds innovation? There's been a conversation, or I've seen some startups that are talking about new technology in mining to access, I think traditionally rare earth is kind of the pitch, but everything we need is in the earth below us. It's just that we only mine the stuff that's on the surface, is the general thesis. Is there a set of innovations that you think are coming to market that are going to ultimately unleash more productivity than we see, because we're still using the same technology we did 100 years ago to get this stuff out of the ground?
For some commodities, yes. You brought up rare earths. So coming out of the 14th century, there were these guys called alchemists. Remember then? They said they could turn lead into gold. And back then, the periodic table was just 4 elements. There was water, there was fire, there was air, and there was earth. Now, fire, you could figure out what it was. The air was pretty pure, the water was pure, but every time they saw something in the earth they didn't know what it was, they called it a rare earth. And so rare earths are everywhere. And the technology to extract rare earths is going to allow us to have a huge abundance of them. But the problem is processing them. That's the problem. The Chinese have all the technological know-how to convert what you take out of the ground and convert it into something that we can use. And so there's always going to be, some element of conversion that you're going to need. With something like copper, the market is so big that it's really difficult to find a technology that could solve that problem overnight.